Okay, and I believe recording has started. So I will kick things off. I'll just introduce myself quickly here. My name is Kaylin Reddick. I'm the Career Services Coordinator here at Mount Allison University. My role in the internship program largely takes place in the early days. So I help with writing job descriptions, getting positions posted for students, collecting student applications, and then getting them all kind of placed and trained and ready to go for the summer. And I also take care of paperwork, contracts, appendices, and host agreements for employers. And I will pass the introduction maybe off to Dawn next. So she'll be your main point of contact for the summer learning program once that kicks off. So I'll let Dawn introduce herself.
Hi, nice to meet all of you virtually, and thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day. So my role is manager of experiential learning. I'm here to guide the interns through the different learning components of their internship and make sure that they are aligned not only with those requirements, but that they're also fulfilling those requirements in a way that works for you so that they're making a valuable contribution to your organization. And like Kaylin, I'm here anytime you have a question or a concern, so please reach out.
Awesome. And then we have John Duff as well, who's a member of our team.
Hello, John Duff. I'm the business systems analyst with the team. I am in the background kind of managing the development and all the progress on our Experience Mountain platform. So some of you may have received an email from me in the last little bit as I get some accounts set up for some of us that we have here today. As with the team, I'm available anytime if you have any issues with accessing the platform, getting access to your students' records, anything like that. Don't hesitate to reach out either at my personal address or our experience-support@mountain.ca, which you'll see shared around in various places. And yeah, looking forward to working with you this term.
Awesome. So I'll just go ahead and share my screen now so we can walk through a couple of slides of information. Thank you everyone for sharing your information in the chat. It's really cool to see how vast the students' experiences are for the summer internship program and all the different things that they do. So basically, this is an internship program info session geared towards employers, hosts, and supervisors. So the folks who will be working with our students kind of face-to-face over the course of the summer throughout their internships to give you a little bit of a sense of who we are, how we can support you, and what we hope the internships will look like and how we hope that they'll benefit both you and the student over the course of the summer. Well, my slides, there we go. So something that we did want to kind of chat about is that an internship through our program really is a 3 and or 4-way partnership. So it really should be, a win-win-win experience where all of these 3 or 4 parties involved should really benefit from the experience and from the arrangement. So, the student should be getting a really good quality work experience that helps them, inform their career goals, apply their academics, explore a potential field of interest. You should be getting someone who is hopefully eager to contribute to your organization, prepared to meet the goals that you have for the summer, able to contribute their kind of unique background, their academic knowledge, their previous expertise to kind of accomplish the goals that you have set for the summer. So you should hopefully be getting a really good student who's been primed and ready to enter your organization and really help make a difference, make a change, and make contributions from the start. And then Mount A, so our office, of course, has a bit of a stake in these relationships as well. So we work closely with the students. We've done onboarding training with all of them to help get them ready to transition from the world of academia to the world of work, because as we know, that can be a very different environment and will be a different environment for most of them. So we've done some training with them already. And we help facilitate their learning journey over the summer. So we do work closely with the students to support them, encourage them to get the most out of their experience and be a resource for them. And we do the same for you. So we are here to support, to engage, to help navigate any issues that may come up, to answer questions, to provide resources. However we can be of assistance to you, we hope that you will come to us. And then in some cases, there are funders involved as well. So I think a lot of the folks here have what we call design your own internships. So the students have kind of sought out a placement with you. They're really following their own goals, and this is something that they're passionate about. But in some cases, we do have funding partners that are involved as well, whether they're grant donors or federal funding sources. So that's something that we keep in mind as needing to be reported to over the course of the summer and later after the internships. And so the internship learning journey, I've mentioned that briefly already, but this is what it looks like in a roadmap format. So thinking about engaging the students that are going into your organizations, for the most part, again, I think you have designed your own students, so their internships really will be quite relevant to their personal and professional goals. They have sought out these experiences, they have a goal in mind, and they're really kind of working towards that. But we know that you also have goals that you want to achieve over the summer, and students really should be taking early initiative to define what they want to get out of the experience that also lines up with what you need from them over the summer and what goals you want accomplished over the summer. So we wrap these learning checks around the student's work experience to really make sure that A, they're getting the most out of their internship, working towards specific goals, and B, to provide some structured check-ins to really make sure that they're able to track their learning and growth over the summer. So this kind of outlines both the check-ins, and then we have some dates associated with those as well here. So students have all done training, or almost all have done training already. They're some of them in the process of onboarding at this point. So May 1st is sometimes the start date. Some may not be starting until later this month. Everyone's a bit scattered, but onboarding is happening as we speak. Students should be thinking now about learning goals, especially if they're starting their internship this week going into next week. They should be sitting down, hopefully with you, their supervisors, to define what they're hoping to get out of the experience and how they can line that up with your needs for the summer and your goals for the summer, and how your priorities can influence what they get out of the internship. So we really encourage them to be an active participant and to really think critically about what competencies they're hoping to develop this summer. Students then complete a reflection. They complete a midpoint assessment, a second reflection, and a final assessment. And there are only 3 of these steps that we ask supervisors or employers to play a small role in. So we ask you to approve their learning goals, again, to make sure that they are lined up with what you hope to accomplish for the summer and realistic in the context of their work. We ask you to complete a small portion of the midpoint assessment to give the students some structured feedback on their performance. And again, make sure that they are working towards both their own goals and goals that benefit your organization. And then we ask for a second assessment component on the final assessment, which is essentially the same as the midpoint assessment. Again, some structured feedback for the student in the context of professional development. Of course, we encourage additional check-ins and feedback opportunities outside of this structure. But by following this roadmap, this kind of structure that we've laid out, we do find that everyone at least gets some kind of formal check-ins with their supervisor. And we do see that as a really valuable method of encouraging students' professional development over the course of the summer. And these dates are flexible, so we know that there are some students who started May 1st, there are some who aren't starting until later this month, who of course won't do their learning goals until they start. So the dates are flexible depending on the timeline of the internships. These are more of guidelines to have for the students to have something concrete to aim towards. But of course they won't quite fit every internship, and we recognize that. I'll pass things over to Dawn to briefly talk about the competency framework we use for students to set their learning goals.
Thanks, Kaylin. If you are working with an intern who has come to you because they have designed their own internship, then they've probably already thought quite deeply about what they want to get out of the internship, and you probably have had conversations about what's possible for them and you during the summer as well. So I want to stress that what we are doing in terms of these wraparound learning requirements, as Kaylin puts it, are not meant to be an extra kind of administrative burden. They're really just meant to give us a little bit of visibility into what's going on. And so you may find that students are able to almost cut and paste from something that they've already created in a document for you, and that's just fine. What we do ask is that those learning goals that they develop are shaped in terms of outcomes, kind of measurable, observable outcomes, and that they are aligned with one of the competencies that you see in this chart here. And that's valuable for the student in terms of being able to articulate their learning to themselves and to other potential employers. So you can see we have this year 4 different categories of competencies, and I use the word competency to include skills, attitudes, and behaviors. We are asking students to choose 3 learning goals targeting competencies in at least 2 columns. And that's important because if people have a cluster of strength that, let's say, is really strong in thinking, they might say, oh, I want to develop my analytical thinking and my problem solving and my creative thinking. Well, we're just going to ask them to spread out a little bit there and maybe choose 2 from the thinking column and 1 from one of the other columns. We also strongly encourage students to choose at least 1 competency from the developing self column, because so much of what students take from a work integrated learning experience is developing not just their professional selves, but their confidence, their self-awareness, their sense of their identity that's emerging as they start to think about themselves, not just as students, but as people, as professionals with something to contribute to the wider world. So that's how the competency framework comes into play. And I can show you the framework now that we have given students as we've asked them to set their learning goals. But let me pause before we dive into the learning goals. What questions do you have about that competency framework? Maybe just give me a thumbs up before. Okay, good with that. Okay, thank you. Okay, so going on to then, how have we asked students to set learning goals? Well, we've tried to keep it simple and fluid, because we recognize that the way life works, particularly professionally, you set a goal and then you start to work on it and things can happen. Sometimes a whole new goal opens up that you think would be more valuable to pursue. Priorities can shift within the organization, or maybe you need to adapt because that first learning goal was too ambitious in some sense. So we do recognize that these goals are going to be fluid, but students need some kind of a starting point, and just the process of setting goals is an important part of their professional development, as you can imagine. So we ask them to create a goal that they can visualize, and a goal that's easy to visualize contains these 3 elements. It says a who, so they're not just working on the goal on their own. That's something that we stress to them throughout. This is not just working on a school assignment where you're on your own. There's always at least one other person in the workplace involved in your learning and your achievement. The what is thinking specifically about the project or the activity or the task or the event, and then the result is an outcome that should be in some sense observable and measurable. So if we go on to the next slide, we'll see here an example of a vivid learning goal. And it's on that analytical thinking strength. Gee, I guess that's one of my strengths. Maybe that's why I gravitated to talking about that. To develop the competency of analytical thinking, I will interview municipal staff from 5 rural municipalities. So there's our who. The student is recognizing that's not happening on their own. This is who will be involved in their goal. And then there's going to be the activity of writing a 10 to 15 page report. And so the writing is the what, and then the result is going to be the report itself. So the student should be able to visualize this goal, because if I were to ask them, how will you know that you have succeeded? Well, they'll be able to say, here's my report that meets these criteria. And this simple process actually can also apply to some of those personal growth goals as well. So for instance, let's say you have a student who wants to work on leadership, and one of the things they've identified is that they want to be more of a leader in team discussions. So they might have a goal of leading a team meeting by the end of the internship, or maybe they have a goal of eventually being able to deliver their weekly status report without notes, right? So there are different ways. So think about how you can help the student visualize, because often going into their internship, they don't know enough about the activities in the context to be able to put some detail to it. So that's a place where you can really help. And the more you anchor it in the reality of the role, the more likely it is that you will both achieve the goal and both get from the experience what you want to get.
Awesome. Thanks, Dawn. So the next phase of this info session is we're actually going to show you the ins and outs of the portal in which these learning check-ins take place. So some of you may be familiar with Experience Monet. For some, this may be completely new information, which is why we like to kind of go through an actual demo of what it looks like and how it works and what to click. We recognize that you may not remember all of this going forward, so we are always here to answer questions at any point. And we will also have some written materials as well as a recording going out and some shorter videos later on that will hopefully help you navigate this. And again, remember, we're always here to help with that. So I am going to turn it over to John to take you through a bit of a demo while we're here. And so then if any questions do come up, we can kind of address them here for you.
Thanks, Kaylin. I'll let you know, I just had an email from Andrew Kierstead. He was having trouble getting in. I don't know if you have any more power as an organizer to help him. While I switch to this, I resent him the link to the meeting. So everyone, I think you may have, if you're a new user, if you haven't received an email from me yet, certainly let me know, or there should be one coming shortly after this. I'm going to look through the list one more time when we're finished up. But this is our homepage here for Experience Mount A. It is experiencemta.mta.ca, I should say. Experience.mta.ca. Sorry, I usually it automatically fills itself in. As employers, you will be using the employer link up here at the top. So you shouldn't need to go through the registration process. We've set up accounts for you. For anyone that is new to the system, we'll ask that you do use the forget password link to reset your password, just to show you what that looks like. And Ben was nice to point out that we do have an issue right now. If you go through the reset process, there's a countdown at the end that sort of says 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, you'll be brought back to the main page, and then it doesn't bring you back to the main page, it brings you to an error. So we're going to have a look at fixing that, but just to let you know that once you do go through the process, if you just go back to experience.nta.ca, you should be able to log in with your password. So here, your login ID is actually your email address. So this is the email address that we've been communicating with through these. But once you have that all set up, you can just click on employer itself or go to employer login. They will get you to the same place. I'm going to log in as my sample employer account. There's more links here to forgetting your password. And also I'll mention too that our experience support email is right here, that you can reach out to us at any time if you're having issues either getting in, or if you get in and you're not seeing the information you think you're supposed to be seeing. Things can happen, whether a student may move ahead in the process before you've had a chance to add your comments. So certainly reach out at any time and we can put you into the right spot. So once you log in, you should see your dashboard here. I'll mention quickly while we're on the dashboard that a good place to start, especially if it's your first time or if you haven't used this in a while, is on your My Account page, where you can make sure that your address is up your name. If you need to correct the spelling or anything like that, address, phone number as well. All of this can be edited right here on this page. Hitting save at the end, so that if we want to reach out to you at any point to discuss anything about the student, we certainly can find you in the right place. I'll also mention that as an employer, you do now have access to post opportunities to our general job bank and future intern or intern opportunities as well, just right here from this blue post an opportunity button. But the important thing that we're here for today is the internship program. So this is over here. I'll let you know that if this kind of red main menu is not visible, depending on what size your screen is when it opens up, it may collapse in, or if you're looking at this on a mobile phone, the menu won't be visible. But if you look for this, it's kind of the standard menu button up here, that'll open that menu for you. Click through the internship program, and you'll be brought to your dashboard here, where we've got some helpful stuff on hiring interns. But the big thing that we're looking for is you can either go to My Internships or to manage My Internships down here as well. There's a couple of different ways you can get in. If you go to My Internships, you'll be brought to what is effectively your internship dashboard. So this shows you opportunities that you may have open if you've submitted one. This is where you can certainly manage any of your ongoing internship opportunities, start new ones, create a new one. But the key thing here is our records are up here for your students. So the process is very similar for kind of all of the three steps that we'll be looking to get you in. So I've got a student account set up for Kaylin here. Kaylin, the student, has already gone through and submitted her learning goals. So I'll let you know too, back on this dashboard page, if you see sort of important that say Kaylin Ruddick needs to, or it'll say submit learning goal for Kaylin Ruddick, that means they haven't been started yet. So really, with most of the steps of this process, we'll be looking for you to come in kind of after the student has done their piece to review what they've entered and kind of approve it and off. So get there, we go back into records, click view next to the student. I think most people here are managing one student, but if you ever are at a point where you have multiple students, they'll all show up in the list here. And this is where you'll see kind of their steps as they go along. So you see your experience record detail is the general details of the placement. Certainly you can review that to make sure things are correct in there. You can make edits to that if, say, the phone number is wrong or anything like that, or you need to make updates. But for your competencies and learning goals, click down to the next step. You'll see that they are pending here, which means the student has started them, but they haven't been approved and moved on to the next step yet. So we're kind of waiting for feedback from yourselves, and then Dawn will certainly go in and provide her feedback as well and approve them kind of in the final approval of them. You click through the competencies and learning goals. You'll see this is sort of some of the general information that's presented to the student. But as you get down to where you see learning goals here, this is where you'll see the information that your student has entered. So you can review it here, or you can also review it on the next page as well. Once you get down, have a quick read through, or not quick read, have a good read through what they've entered. Think about it. Think about anything you want to add to it, to add your comments. And this is a trick with this system is a lot of the times if you're looking at this and you're trying to figure out how do I edit it, there's this magic black action button down here in the bottom corner. So if you click this round button in the bottom corner, you'll bring up sort of different options that you have for that page, whether it's creating a new record, printing something off. But the one we're looking for today is you want to edit this record. This is how, as well, if you wanted to edit the record or the experiential record, you certainly can. But if you pull down this list, you will see competencies and learning goals. And as the term progresses, you'll see midpoint assessments and the other pieces start to appear in this list as the student starts. We press select on that. Now, as I said, once again, you can review the learning goals in here as well. As we get down, now you have a box available for your comments. So I'm going to be kind of brief with it. But certainly you have a limited, many characters there to fill in. So you kind of be as brief or thorough as you want to be with the student. But certainly it's a good opportunity to share your feedback with them. If you may have done this in person, but certainly to have it down and written, and for us with the team as well. Once you've done that, if you approve of them, hit yes here as the under the I have approved or reviewed and approved the learning goals outlined, and then to finish it off, you can hit submit, and that will basically, you'll see it still as pending. You can review just to make sure it has saved. You can see them there. And that is the process for updating learning goals. As I said, it's very similar for each other step. As the student moves on and gets started in the next set, you'll see a similar thing. You'll see midpoint assessment is pending, final assessment is pending, and then your employer program evaluation. By the end of the term, that may be rolled into the final assessment and won't be its own step, but that, if so, then it would be your own step to complete there if it remains the same. And once that's done, you can simply log out down here. Bring it back to the homepage. I think, Kaylin, I think I covered the main points there. Certainly, if anyone has any questions, having any issues getting in, certainly we can address those. And otherwise, like I said, will be a quick video posted that kind of reviews that if you get back in a couple of weeks or a week once your student has submitted their learning goals and thinking, okay, what were those steps? There will be a quick little video available on the page as well to sort of guide you through that process.
Awesome. Thanks so much, John. Yeah, for questions, John, I do have one in the chat here that I think maybe you might address. So Lori Kilgore-Walsh is wondering, her student is working with 3 sites and 3 supervisors. Lori is one of those 3. And so they will all have, so Lori, you'll all have your own logins, you'll all have your own separate accounts, and we'll link all of you with, I believe that's Shivanya, a Born Arts internship. So she's designed her own project working with 3 different sites. So Dawn, I'm not sure, you will all have your own logins for sure. You'll all have access individually to her records. But Dawn, maybe we'll have to chat with Shivanya about how she wants to navigate approvals for each of her steps. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if this would work for you, Lori, but I think it should be a collaborative process because it is one role she's fulfilling. And it sounds like she's reporting to multiple people. Does she have a solid line report to one of you and dotted line reports to the others, or not? That would be my question. So if there is okay, still being turned. Okay, so if there's a solid line of reporting, which would probably be really helpful just in terms of day-to-day communication, then I would say that person could kind of coordinate the setting of the goals with Shivanya. And, you know, if there are 3 different supervisors and she's doing kind of little projects for each of you, then another option would be to say, okay, Shivanya, do 1 goal per supervisor. Those are a couple of ways you could slice and dice that, but there will be 1 record and 1 set of learning goals. Hope that helps.
Really good question, though. Does anybody else have questions about the program, about us and what we can help with, about Experience Mount A? And we will be sending out this recording. Will we be provided access to the descending tabs to update information under the My Internship heading as the summer progresses? It appears that I only have the ability to access and edit the record detail tab. Yes. So, John, maybe do you want to field that one?
Yes, yeah, and that is sort of the, we were seeing more tabs in there because Kaylin as a student had already started that record. So you do actually have the ability to create and kind of start the learning goal records, but certainly we recommend that the student starts it first so that you have something to review when you go in. So once your student has gone in and started that record, it'll move to basically a pending kind of in progress step rather than just unavailable and grayed out. So yeah, everyone right now, everyone should be seeing those grayed out. Well, but if you kind of if you look from the student side, they're ready to submit, and most have attended training and have gotten through the first initial steps. Up at that the stage where they're ready to submit their learning goal.
And we don't want to keep anyone. I recognize we're a little bit over time already, so if you do need to run, please do. And we will send, like, we'll wait until all questions are answered, and we will send out the recording to everyone later this week as well. And we're always available by email or phone call. But any other questions for now? So far, so good. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out at any point when things come up, because I'm sure things will come up, and we're always happy to help navigate whatever it might be, whether it's an experience bounding question, a question about contracts and funding, a question about managing students. We're happy to help and to support in any way that we can. And we are available and accessible all summer. So thank you all for being here. Please stay tuned for the recording later this week, as well as other support materials over the course of the summer. And we really, really look forward to the experiences that the students will have this summer. Ben, yes, or Benjamin, yeah, go ahead.
All right, one more question. I guess I should ask this ages ago, perhaps, but is there any limitations or things we need to consider related to insurance for our workplaces, or is it just, my hope is that we'll never need it, but insurance is such that you don't use it until you need it. So I'm just curious if you have any flags that I should look at, or that we need to make adjustments or anything like that.
That's a good question. Maybe Dawn, do you have thoughts there? So in terms of paperwork on our end, I believe you're in the same position where you have a design your own student, so they are being funded to work with you, so they're not on your payroll. So we'll have what we call a host agreement that basically says, you agree to have them on your premises, to support them, to supervise them, to mentor them, to make sure that they have a workplace that is safe and free of harassment, all that stuff. But in terms of actual insurance, that is a question that I'm not so familiar with. So I'm not sure, Dawn, do you have any thoughts there or anything to think about?
I'll take that away as a takeaway. I think probably the best person to answer that is our Director of Experiential Learning and Career Development, Rebecca Lehman. So I'll see if we can get some info back for you on that ASAP.
Thank you.
That's a good question. Anybody else have anything burning? Thank you all for coming. I won't keep you any longer. And yeah, if anyone does have any questions, though, we'll just hang on until everybody has signed off. So if you do have something that you think of in the next couple seconds, feel free to ask. But aside from that, have a great rest of your day, and we will keep in touch over the summer.
Thanks all.
Bye, everyone. All right.
All right. I'm going to connect you. Andrew's still having trouble. He took an online course from UND and seems it might be doing that. So I'll just copy you if you could send him the recording when it's done.
Yes, as soon as I stopped presenting, I noticed an email from him about technical difficulties, and he said, "Yep, I think it's trying to log me into UNB, and I'm gonna call it for the day, and I'll just watch the recording." So,
perfect.
Awesome. Thanks, John. See you later.
All right. Thanks. Great stuff.